Hello, hello. Just went live a little bit early just to test some things out, make sure things were working correctly. Looks like they are. And I get my screen. Man, this is fantastic. I like it. Hope it's actually working. As soon as I see someone actually log in here in a few minutes, I will be much happier. Check to see if the thing is on. Refresh. Sweet. It works. I'm pretty happy. Hey, one person. There we go. Perfect. Just a little early today. Just making sure the software works. It does. Thumbs up. I'm able to share my screen instead of just my face. Hopefully that will be more pleasing to those in attendance so that you actually follow along with what we're chatting about. Looks like we got another minute or so before we are actually officially ready to start. Wish I could actually watch it, but I'm just going to assume that it's working. I'd like to see if it's actually working. Let's see what we got here. All right. I think we are live and good. Someone wants to say yes in the chat. You can hear me and you can see me. Now I'm over here in the corner. Looks like my screen is being displayed on there like I want it to. Just waiting a few more minutes to get this stuff set up and we will get started. Timeshare recap Tuesday on. People keep logging on and back off, so I hopefully it's working. I'm going to go ahead and look to see if I can see it on my own channel. Does it let me view it? It's going to let me do that. Awesome. It does work. Okay, perfect. So that works for me. We will go ahead and get started. Since it's 9:01. Again, welcome to Timeshare Tuesday Recap Live on a Wednesday. I apologize. Last week we had to delay it till Saturday as I was on vacation. And I could not get a decent Wi-Fi signal at Holiday Inn Orange Lake to support the stream. So delayed it. And now I apologize. We delayed it again to another day this week just because I had a meeting that ran way too long. Last evening, Tuesday, I wouldn't have been able to start this stream until 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern. It was way too late for me. I was exhausted and didn't think anybody would be online anyway. So as we're going to get started this week, I'm trying a new streaming software, going back to StreamYard. It was reached out, Jeremy, Destination Timeshare, told me about this as a software that makes it much more user-friendly to both share my screen and interact with the people that are online with me. In doing so, right now we're just trying it out again. I tried it in the past and it worked really well. It seems to be working really well again. I did have a little snafu in how you need to schedule it through the software instead of connecting to something I had created within the YouTube studio. So we've got that sorted out. Looks like we're live. Looks like we're ready to go. Looks like the streaming works. I'm able to view myself on my own channel. A little bit of echo. I apologize for doing this at the last minute, but it is what it is. I'm going to make a concerted effort. It is supposed to happen Tuesday nights, probably around 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern. That is almost always a great night for me. So should not have any more delays unless something comes up. School season starting soon. Both my kids will be back in school. So I guess you can't hold me to that. But I'm going to make every effort to have Timeshare Recap Tuesday on a Tuesday. So here we go. And doing Timeshare Recap Tuesday on a Wednesday. The first order of business is we are going to talk about the number one discussion thread from the past week. And that was someone who had reached out to attended a reservation, tried to check in at their normal 4 p.m. time and were delayed almost 2 hours to check in, told that their room wasn't ready. There were a couple, excuses or comments or the resort itself had, for whatever reason, claimed they didn't have the room available. Now, in most situations, if someone has made a long flight or a long drive and you're checking in, that's not what anyone wants to hear. It's not. I would want to hear as a guest. Certainly, probably the in most cases, unless someone is just really, really laid back, just not the way you want to be greeted to check in is, hey, sorry, it's going to be a few hours till you can check in. especially if you're showing up at the appropriate check-in time, which for most resorts is 4 p.m. So this individual is a nice Marriott resort. They are, our Marriott owners, and we're told that it was going to be a couple-hour delay until their room was ready. But it seemed like instead of hey, we're sorry about this. Here's some vouchers to go have drinks at the pool, or we'll park it at someone. It seemed that they tried to sign them up for a sales presentation, or tried to send them over to the concierge to to promote something, or try to sell them something. Which again, that'd be kind of a double whammy for me if I were checking into a room and checking into a resort I owned at in a system I owned at, especially Marriott. And not only would I be told that my room's not ready, it'll be a bit, but then I was, tried to be sold something or by the concierge, or tried to schedule a sales presentation or whatever. Not the most ideal situation. And I can certainly see how this individual would be mildly upset it having to wait 2 hours to check in when they just want to enjoy their vacation. But, situations vary. I've had it happen to me, and thankfully it was just me traveling instead of my family. If I had my kids and my family in the car and I just drove 3 or 4 hours and was told that, I'd probably be less accepting of that situation. And only thing you want to hear is, I want to go put my stuff away, and I want to relax or sit down or check into my room or go to the pool or whatnot. It brought up a much longer debate, and this thing went for some odd pages. A much longer discussion about how resorts handle check-in and check-out. As most resorts, the check-in is normalized at 4 p.m. and you have to be out by 10 a.m. With that, you have, roughly 6 hours at which to clean these rooms. But you can understand, if every every room at the resort checked out at 10 a.m., the housekeeping staff would have to be staggeringly large to clean every room in the resort in that 6 hours, so that they could be checked in at 4 p.m. the next day. That said, it never really happens that way. You never have 100% of the room checking out on the same day at exactly 10 a.m. And you never have 100% of the resort checking in, a Sunday at 4 p.m. So it did make me fascinated, as other people, is how is that managed? Is there an app? Is there some sort of schedule? Is there some sort of person responsible for managing the check-ins and check-outs of each room, so that housekeeping can be funneled to where they belong? Or do they just start at floor one and work their way up as they go through? I've always noticed, for me personally, anytime I've checked out the normal time at 10 a.m., I've never had housekeeping waiting outside my room at 10:01 to come in and clean it. Rarely, if ever, have I had a knock on the door at 10 a.m. If I were still there, which it's rare that I'm doing that. The housekeeping was ready to go at 10 a.m. because they needed that full 6 hours to get someone checking in that same day. So maybe I've just been lucky. Maybe that's just the norm, and maybe it's just really exceptionally rare that someone would be told that their room wasn't ready just because housekeeping had not gotten around to clean it yet, and there was not another room available that they could check into. That I guess it varies. You have a really small resort that's obviously much easier to manage versus something with thousands and thousands of rooms. But conversely, you would also think that a resort with hundreds, if not thousands, of rooms would have somewhere else to put those people, and to put them in another room, even if you had to move them, or offer to move them, later on in the week, or something like that. I can't imagine a situation where you're looking at 100% occupancy, and there's just nothing that they could do except send them over to the concierge desk to have them pitched for upgrading or buying a new timeshare or something like that. So, someone mentioned AI software. Could that be used to more effectively manage housekeeping and schedule? I've seen situations, and a number of people have mentioned it, where resorts are now offering bonuses to check out early, even before 10 a.m. That's something that I would suggest asking for. I've never had a situation, at least in the past few years that I've been in traveling, where I wanted to check out early, especially before 10 a.m. So we're usually, have an enjoyable breakfast and get an activity in and pack up, and we're rolling out the door at 9:45, 9:30. But if someone has to leave a day early, or is an or super early riser, you have a flight at 6 in the morning, you're going to be gone by 3 or 4. Absolutely, if resorts are willing to offer this, and it's somehow that beneficial to a resort to offer, someone said they got 200 Bonvoy points or something like that. Well, I mean, it's that's not going to that'll buy you that, and a quarter will buy you a cup of coffee somewhere. But it's, if it's something you're doing anyway, why not ask? Or if your plans allow for that. I saw someone else, they offered them a free pass at either one of the water parks or something like that, just as you know, you ask for early checkout. Most people that are calling are asking for a later checkout. Hey, can I stay to 11 or 12? And at some resorts even offer that as a perk. You can have an hour or 2 hours later checkout if you're at a certain status level. At many resorts, and some hotels do that as well. So it is certainly becoming more common. If it's not existed the entire time, I've never known about it, but I've certainly seen far more reports where resorts are offering bonuses to check out early. And if that allows housekeeping to clean that room and make that available for someone coming in, why not take advantage of that? I personally am only staying for 5, 6 nights, and I want to enjoy all my time. I don't want to feel rushed to have to wake up and throw all my stuff in a bag and run out the door. So 10 a.m. is fairly reasonable for me on the last day, but there are clearly plenty of people who are super early risers or want to get on the road or are and to call and ask or call the front desk and request an early checkout. That seems like a fantastic option. And if they're willing to give you something for it, or maybe that'll help someone else avoid being delayed at check-in or help the resort out in some way. So I would certainly look into that. And again, if anyone is aware of here's another one. Vistana used to have 12 p.m. checkout for 5-star elites. That was a long time ago. So the minimum kind of wait for that should be dinner and drinks. I would agree. You're inconveniencing someone. You're breaking the agreement that person that you had with that person to check in at 4. But it should not become a common situation where people need to wait check in. You set that expectation that 4 p.m. if I show up, my room should be ready. If that's happening less frequently than normal, I mean, I can understand once in a blue moon, but if that is becoming frequent, that's a problem. And again, maybe there just needs to be a better management at the resort level. I will say that I don't blame housekeeping whatsoever. It's certainly not the staff doing the cleaning that is causing these delays. And those people work harder than probably anyone else at the resort. So to think that they are somehow responsible for this happening is absolutely not the case. So it just comes down to having a way to organize check-ins and checkouts to ensure that within that 6-hour interval that you can get a number of resorts available, so that you don't have to tell someone when they check in at 4 p.m. that, hey, it's going to be a bit before your room's ready. With it happening to me, the last time I could think, it did happen at the Wyndham Ocean Walk, and after a quick delay, they wound up finding a room to put us in. It wasn't the original room we were going for, but to be told that, you're just kind of, man, that's not what I want to hear. But they were very, very cordial about it and say, hey, we'll store your luggage here. You go park your car, go hang out at the pool. Here's some free drink coupons, stuff like that. If it's just a brief delay, that would be an acceptable, thank you or apology from the resort. If it's not the check-in person's responsibility to make sure that he's just relaying the bad news to you, but resorts should be able to handle that in a much, much better fashion. So this post went again, 4 some odd pages, hundreds of responses. To go back and read through this, you can see the various options. But yeah, if I flew all the way to Hawaii, and spent the last 12 plus hours or even day on a plane, and I showed up at the check-in desk and they told me it's going to be a couple hours, I empathize with the owner. He probably handled it better than I would in that situation, and they're just there's got to be someone at the resort who is responsible for managing that and ensuring that if that's going to happen, that owner is more than compensated for that inconvenience. Is again, you're just setting the tone for your entire vacation. And if it starts off on the wrong foot, maybe you're like me and you're just grumpy for days before you get over that. And so to have that, especially, and then be prompted to go sit through a timeshare sales presentation, that's just kind of a 1-2 punch right at the start of your timeshare vacation that no one should have to experience. So again, if it's happened to you, click on the link here in the comments down below in the description to go view this and read this multi-page thread and share what your thoughts were and share what you got and share what even you can type it in the comments. I'm fine with that. What your resort does to encourage early checkout, and or if you ever have been told that you can't check in at the 4 p.m. time, what did they offer you? Or did they just say, sorry, sorry, not sorry. And you had to wait, or what really happened? So I'd really like to see the mix of how resorts handle that in this day and age. And this being a Marriott resort, I certainly expected better from that, but situations vary. And it sounded like this person went on have a wonderful vacation overall. So no harm, no foul. But it just did not seem to sit very well with this owner how he was treated when he went to check in at 4 and had to wait a couple hours for his room to be available. So going back here, no, that's sweet. Going to the next item on there. This was share this tab. Let's see if we can see that RCI website search upgrade this July. So Traveler posted a very, very detailed post on a new option or a new way to search that is available through the RCI website. That it's not earth changing or life shattering or life changing, but it's a great way to expand your search capacity to find these diamond in the rough or find a reservation that you probably wouldn't have seen normally doing the regular search feature that RCI has. I spent this afternoon trying to log into RCI. I guess my account expired. We haven't had an RCI timeshare in quite some time, although I thought we had continued to pay the dues on that, but I couldn't even get my login. It didn't recognize my username. So I guess it's been quite some time since I paid RCI. I really did want to kind of go through this and try this myself. Obviously that doesn't translate to Interval, but just reading it through here, it basically shows, gives you an example, and he went to detailed step by step to elaborate on using the calendar search. So those of you that are RCI, go ahead and log into your account. Again, the link to this particular instruction in this post is in the description below, and add in the comments if it worked for you. But allowing you to enter in a state and enter in the dates you want to check in, all of that is pretty normal. You've always done that with RCI. But it seemed like now that you can click on the resorts and now it shows the check-in and the sizes will show up, and it shows you the TPUs needed and such like that. So it mentioned that this useful is RCI Platinum gives you the 10% off these extra vacations. So if you can find something that you wouldn't have normally had, you get a bigger discount if you have the RCI Platinum ownership. So in going to do this, it seems like you can now select the travel dates along with the resort and actually view a bigger window of availability stuff versus just checking on a Sunday to Sunday check-in. You can actually see if there are other resorts available and not so much on those check-ins, and it just expands your search options or gives you the ability. Perhaps you don't need to check in on a Sunday, and here you can check in on a Friday or Saturday or something to that effect. It's just a great little tip that allows owners to find reservations within the RCI system that might not match exactly what you would have searched for using the previous or the existing RCI search feature, which I thought was anything we can do, and this is exactly why Tug exists, to provide tips and tricks like this that an owner probably wouldn't normally have found. Those of you who are well seasoned in on-grid searchings and such like that with RCI may have already discovered this. But for your average owner, one of the most common complaints we get is that, hey, I'm trying to search something in RCI. Nothing's ever available. I only stuff that I don't want. Now having the option to get a few more search results in the area and the location and the resort that you're looking for. If that results in, just 10% or 15% more people finding an acceptable reservation that they can use for an exchange, then I consider that a win. And then big thanks to Traveler for not only making us aware of it, but giving you a detailed step-by-step on how you can use this new feature to see those extra vacations that would have not normally shown up in most people's searches. So thanks again. And I hope, please, again, leave in the comments or go to this very post and post your reply if you were able to utilize this tip and find a vacation that is something to use and you actually book it and save yourself some money on your next vacation, which is, for lack of a better term, exactly why Tug exists. Making vacations cheaper, learning how to use and maximize the value out of your timeshare. This gets an A+ for me, and thank you so much for pointing that out to us. Come over here. Okay, switched up on me to Wednesday. Yep. So sorry about that, Jim. I do appreciate you tuning in. Sorry for the last minute item. Although I thought I posted yesterday that I was moving it to Wednesday. It is not permanently moved. I know the last 2 weeks we've changed. Just Tuesdays have, Tuesdays are usually good for me, but last week I was on vacation. Last night it just a meeting that should not have gone till 10:30 at night did go on until that long, and I didn't have the energy to go here and do a live stream after we were done with that. So my apologies to moving it to Wednesday. We will be back on our same bat time and our same bat channel next Tuesday to discuss the top dockets for next week. So going on to the next topic, which was requesting input on Hyatt Kaanapali beach timeshare purchase. This was a big deal because this person plopped down $42,675 plus $680 in closing costs to buy 300,000 World of Hyatt points at Hyatt Kaanapali Beach, which is a hefty chunk of change. I don't care how you slice it in either way. Now, in most cases, when you hear somebody say that you spent $42,000 on a timeshare, the immediate answer is, hey, you need to cancel that. You paid way too much. And that was the case here. So this person did pay way too much. But the fact of the matter is that ownership, because of that resort and that location, does have value. Even resales on that are going to have some value, although again, it's nowhere near $42,675, or we'll call it $43,000 with closing costs. But that timeshare is something that would, we later on down the discussion, people mentioned that we've seen here's 24,500 for an annual float, and this I think was a biannual that he said he purchased on there. I want to say that every other year, so every other year for paying 42,000, and for an every other year use, and the argument why he wanted it is because he was seeing the increase in costs to rent in Maui, and it's not something that they wanted to go there every year. But to be able to purchase something that would mitigate the costs of renting the timeshare there, if they could own that for that amount, that it seemed reasonable to them. That said, when you just do the numbers, and this is the same with any timeshare. I don't care if you're paying $50,000 for it. I don't care if you're getting it for free. Not so much the cost of buying the timeshare, but the annual maintenance fees. And so in this case, you're looking at $4,000 a year. So for a year of use, so to 2,000 every year, 4,000 every other year. When you look at that, if you parlay that over 10 years of use, so 42,000, and then you get 4,000 over 5 years, another 20,000, so $60,000 for over 10 years to own something like that. And could you rent from somewhere for 10 years at $6,000 a year? And again, the math numbers are kind of when you're doing this, you want to use the accurate numbers. I'm just kind of rounding up to make the numbers easy. And $6,000 for a vacation that's a pretty hefty amount. You can go pretty much anywhere you want to go for $6,000 a year. And what is most important, again, the biggest trap people fall in when buying a timeshare is the annual maintenance fees go up each and every year, even if it's only a couple percent, which unfortunately we haven't seen in the past few years because inflation has seen these increases go up, 7, 8, 9, 10%. Because you're starting at such a high amount, your maintenance fees are already 3 times the average. So even a 5% increase or a 3% increase of $4,000 that's a lot of money, and especially when you're now planning something over 10, 15, or 20 years, that annualized increase in maintenance fees, even if it's only single digit percentage a year, means you're paying $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in maintenance fees, 10, 15 years down the road. So you can't just even say that that's only a $62,000 purchase over 10 years. It's going to be more than that because, while there are probably examples of timeshares maintenance fees going down, I've seen them. It's not the norm. In fact, it's just an extreme exception. And then by and large, timeshare maintenance fees go up every year, a certain percentage. So in doing this, it's just very, very difficult for any retail transaction because of that hefty upfront fee that you pay to purchase the timeshare outright is ever going to pay off in the long run. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It certainly can. And there will be probably plenty of people commenting, explaining that, hey, but I bought this and it worked out because you couldn't get it anywhere else. And that's kind of the situation here. These deeded weeks are just not as available. And especially at this particular resort in this particular system, the deeded weeks, especially the every other year deeded weeks and floating for that matter versus the fixed weeks that were originally sold are few and far between. So you're going to have to pay a premium. And that's why they still sell for some money on the resale market, because again, supply and demand. You have most situations where there are far more people selling than people want to buy, but you have some timeshares where there are very, very few fixed weeks available at this beautiful, nice resort. And there are more people, especially seasoned owners who are regular travelers to this area, know the value of that and know they're looking for it. And you have a situation that's reversed where there are more people actually looking to buy at this particular resort in that situation than there are people looking to sell. Not so much because there are just more owners out there looking to buy timeshares, but there are just far, far, far less people out there trying to sell these, period. Meaning even if every person who owned a floating week at this resort or a fixed deeded week tried to sell, it would still be far less than the average number of people trying to sell Wyndham points or just selling regular World of Hyatt points or Hyatt Platinum points, if you're talking about the Welk side. in that situation is almost always more people trying to sell than there are people trying to buy. So when that situation is reversed, then you find timeshares that do have some sort of resale value. As it is, there's just this still wasn't it wasn't a terrible deal, but it was still a poor value for this person's vacation dollar. And I don't think, and nor did anyone else think, that they were going to make up the costs that they were outlaying plus the maintenance fees in saving on rents. Especially since the fires in Hawaii and in this area in the past, and it just hasn't translated to rental prices going through the roof. So again, in 10 years that may be the case, and they could have all proved us wrong that this turned out to save them a few dollars in the long run. But when you're looking at it at face value right now, it's just the chances of you outlaying, let's just call it $60,000 up front, or $60,000 over 10 years. Could you rent at that exact same location, even if that same resort, for $6,000 a year or less? And right now, yes, you absolutely can. And so in that regard alone, you'd be paying more to own than to not own. And in that case, it's just not a good value for your timeshare dollar. So other options here, they posted some situations where, some other examples. Explained a rental of a Christmas week, we're going for $3,000. So that's half right there. I can rent Christmas at 2-bedroom and Christmas in that location for half what he was going to pay over the 10-year period in maintenance fees. So when you're looking at that, and when it's the disparity in the availability, wow, that was a terrible pronunciation of availability. Again, if you can rent for less than you can own, it doesn't matter how good a deal you're getting. It's just not good value for your vacation dollar to own there. I mean, that's $3,000. That's less than the maintenance fee. So I'm not quite sure how that's available there. But and if you can regularly rent for at or less the cost of your maintenance fees, it doesn't do you any good to outlay a significant amount of money to purchase that timeshare. No, it's just not a good value. So go back through and check out the math. For those of you Hyatt Kaanapali owners that are existing there, tell us how you feel about the value of that purchase, how much you paid when you bought at that resort if you're an existing fixed or floating week deeded owner, how much you rent if you're getting it out there, and do you see the rental market there increasing, decreasing? Basically sharing your thoughts on, as these people did, on how much it cost for them to how much that was for them to put that out there. So let's go to the final one, which is, I got to share the tab. Oh, I lost my tab. What happened? Hang on. I got to put now you're looking at me again. So share screen, RCI. There we go. Share. All right. So that was not the right one. So share this tab. There we go. I was going to add a stage. Perfect. Now we're back. Sorry about that. It'll take me a few minutes to get used to this, but all right. So the final topic is the Orange Lake residences. I don't know how many of you people have heard about this, but Orange Lake just completed a brand new phase that whole gigantic metropolis that is the Orange Lake complex. That place is wild. I will say that I just spent a vacation there, not at this particular one, but in Orange Lake at River Island this past week. And it just so happened that this particular thread popped up on Tug, where they announced the completion of what's called the Orange Lake residences. And these are actually fully furnished, just beautiful homes. So 6,000 square foot homes with screened in pools and it's like 5 or 6 bedrooms, sleeps 20 people. And the fact that it was within walking distance of where I was just kind of just worked out that I drove on by. I tried to reach out to some contacts at Holiday Inn. I did reach someone who informed me that the residences were completely booked up, and that thus they couldn't give any tours. I wanted to go inside and get some video. Someone down here later in the thread did post a video that I guess someone snuck in there and got pictures of that a couple weeks back while they're still under construction. But these things are from the outside. I mean, I drove by and let's see if I can show off some of these pictures that I took on the outside. While I was there, I just drove by. So, I mean, these things are, as you can see, I mean, this looks like something you would drive through, a nice neighborhood. These aren't townhomes. This isn't 2 rooms, connected to each other. These are fully, absolutely fully completed, standalone by themselves, homes that they're right on the golf course there at Orange Lake. Have, again, as I mentioned, screened in back pools. I couldn't get a picture of that. And it includes the best part that I thought was great is it includes a golf cart. There was a tiny little garage. I don't know if you can see it in any of the photos here. There's a little garage on one side on each of these, and I guess on the opposite side of each one, just not for a car, but it's for a golf cart, and it says it's included as part of your stay there. Now, for something like that, we were back looking. Went through. Someone posted that what was the answer? What is it? 1.2 million points to reserve one of these a week. That is a wild number. I don't know what that translates to into money, but that's a hefty that's a hefty chunk of change. But that said, you're taking 5 families of 4 people each to sleep 20 and stay there. Maybe it's worth it. I will say that these things were looked amazing from the outside. The video that someone posted on this thread showed they looked amazing from the inside. And just, is it worth 1.2 million points? I don't know. Holiday Inn owners are gonna have to tell me if you think that there's value there. They claimed that they were full up. I will say that driving down this, myself, I did not see a sign of anyone in any. There's only 5 of them, but it was clear that they had plans to make more. The road just kind of stops right where these are, and you could see it's developed and developed. I want to say it'll cleared for the road to continue and have more of these and included in the offering. But I didn't see a single person inside any of them. This one here, than the one I posted. I guess there was a truck. It looked like a service truck in the driveway. So I got the impression with this that the people were working on it inside it, versus it just, none of the homes looked like someone was there enjoying their vacation. So maybe that's the case. Maybe they just were trying to blow me off. I don't really know, but I couldn't get shots on the inside. But thankfully someone dug on YouTube, found a link that this person showed the inside, and it looks amazing. Absolutely look gorgeous. They look like they spared no expense in creating these, building them. And I get the demand. And I think anyone looking at that would be overblown. It's probably the nicest timeshare offering. Who gets this? It's almost, you find that stuff in luxury fractionals and things like that. So maybe 1.2 million points is a bargain, and then coming in and doing that. But no, this is a really unique offering. I've never seen anything like this, although again, it might exist. There are resorts out there that have detached homes, for lack of a better term. Massanutten has one. What is it? The Regal Vistas, I think. They're townhome like standalone properties that you can stay in, take your whole family there. But this is something that was just seemed to be a step above, even for the nicest phases of. Now I thought River Island was beautiful, and I'm pretty sure that River Island is the most recent phase at Orange Lake. But it didn't hold a candle to some of this stuff. So it was very, very nice. I see the demand. I don't know if they'll be able to keep them full, all 5 of them full every week of every year. But hey, they clearly put a lot of money into it and claim that they're completely full now. So good luck to them. And thanks for tuning in, Billy. I appreciate you coming in. That's okay. Again, next time we will be back on the Tuesday night channel. I'm shooting for 9 p.m. Tuesday Eastern is my goal. I apologize that the meeting that I had last night, couldn't get out of it and couldn't get away from it. But thanks for all of you who tuned in this evening. And we went through the 4 biggest discussion topics that we had in the past week. And again, unless anyone has any questions or comments, I think we've covered them all. I don't believe that there was anything else left on that item. So I will say that, man, for those of you that tuned in last week to the biggest post, the Wyndham timeshare, closures, for lack of a better term, that thread is still absolutely going bonkers. It's easily the most talked about thing there that we have going on. And unfortunately, another week went by and we still haven't had a whole lot of official announcements from Wyndham. The rumor mill is still going crazy. You have people reporting that, the staff are keeping they're being told that the resorts are physically shutting down, meaning they're just going out of it. Just the resort is closing, period, not just being dropped from the Wyndham system. I saw someone say that a staff member told them at a separate resort that it's going to be sold to another company who is going to keep it open and maintain it as rentals. It's just wild that this forest fire of rumors is just exploding nonstop. And no one is really doing a whole lot about it to put that fire out. I guess maybe they not a whole lot they can do about it. So silence is the best policy. I don't agree with that strategy, but they're not asking me. So my thoughts don't matter. I'm sympathetic to all of the owners who are in these situations, who are basically just being left out to dry and not knowing what's happening with their ownership. I've spoken to so many people who are deeded owners at these resorts, who email us and go, "Hey, I saw this or read about this. What's going to happen with what do I do? What's going to happen?" And I don't know. That's a great question. We haven't got any definitive answers, and it varies. It definitely seems like each one of these resorts is being handled separately, which I guess makes sense if they're all separate associations. They all have to decide independently. But when one rumor gets started and it goes from Wyndham's closing 20 resorts to all the resorts are being boarded up to all of them being sold as timeshare is condos, and it'll just be auctioned off in bankruptcy. And there's probably a little truth to that, and probably a little nonsense to all that. But again, until each of these resorts contacts, and that's what I can't believe, is so many owners claiming that they've heard nothing from their resort. I can't believe the associations, even if it's been a week or 2 weeks, or when they were notified. I doubt it. They were notified just a couple weeks ago, have not sent out correspondence to all of their owners. Or more importantly, don't have some sort of hotline set up or number that they can call to get a definitive answer on what your options are. Not so much. I don't need them to say, exactly what their plan is moving forward or what the final decision will be, but at least tell them their options and what's on the table and what's being discussed. Because again, you have so many of these owners that are deeded owners that didn't read the Wyndham upgrade. I had one lady that mentioned that she checked into the resort, or she's an owner there, and the salespeople appear to be taking advantage of the confusion and the nonsense on this, and saying that, hey, you're just going to lose your ownership if you don't pay to upgrade to Wyndham points, and offering to sell them 150,000 or 200,000 or 250,000 Wyndham points for tens of thousands of dollars. And there's no doubt that people will fall for that, because they see all the stuff. They see the stuff reported on Tug. They see the stuff reported on Facebook that Wyndham is closing these resorts down, and they don't want to lose their ownership. Okay, well, if the only way for me to keep my timeshare, to keep access to this so I don't lose everything, is to pay you more money, it's no surprise that the sales sharks are see the chum in the water and are just in a feeding frenzy and trying to exploit the situation. It's abhorrent. It's something that I would just absolutely, I don't have the capability to lie to someone's face like that, but it's certainly no lack of that mindset in the timeshare sales industry. And as such, for every owner that doesn't read Tug or doesn't read the Facebook groups and believes that, I have no doubt whatsoever that has become a very, very effective sales pitch for anyone at those resorts, or anyone at Wyndham altogether, that they can use. Hey, look, we're closing down these 20 resorts. You don't want to miss out. You don't want to be stuck in or being stuck with old inventory, or you need to buy fresh points as they reorganize the system so you don't lose out. When you have confusion and when you have a void of information, when you're not getting facts out from the resorts or from Wyndham corporate, it's crazy, because Wyndham did officially announce that anyone impacted by this would be offered a free transition to a Club Wyndham Access points account. And then the one lady said she'd never heard of that. And the salesman certainly not going to offer that, because why would a salesman tell you that option when they can sell you something for 25,000 or 30,000 and then get a commission on that? There's no incentive for a salesperson to give you the truth when that truth doesn't result in you buying something from them. And that's been the sad state of the timeshare industry for longer than I've been around, and it's certainly not going anywhere anytime soon, when the only incentive for again, salespeople to get paid is to sell you something. They now change the guise to being educated, informing, and owner update, to teach you about your membership. But at the end of the day, that salesperson is wasting his time unless you buy something. And for these people to exploit this confusion amongst what's got to be tens of thousands of owners at these resorts, who everything's just out in limbo, it's really, really sickening to read that. And I truly hope that the number of people who fall for it is in the minimum. I just don't feel that that's the case. I would imagine that every person, and it's probably even working worse, because when you're an owner at this resort and you check in, you probably want to know, hey, yeah, I want to go to an owner update for the very first time. I want you to update me as an owner for what's going on. And then you sit down and you tell me a lie that, hey, this resort's closing down. Your ownership's worthless. It's not going to do anything. You need to upgrade your ownership to points, and this is what it's going to cost, or you lose everything. I absolutely see people falling for that. And they wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work. And it is just a very, very sad state of affairs that these sales offices aren't doing more to actually educate these owners who are in a really, really crappy situation altogether. I truly hope that perhaps when the dust settles and when this is all said and done, Wyndham might go back and look at all the sales presentations or all the owner updates that happened where someone did buy at these, and check into to what those people were told and how those people were sold. And wow, it's amazing that the acceptance rate or the success rate of the tours at this resort after we announced their closing went up by 60% because all of these people were telling people that they're going to lose everything if they don't buy or upgrade to Wyndham points, which is something that Wyndham has already offered them for free. So rant off. We talked about that for eons last time, so I don't need to keep rambling on about that. Jim, thanks for the comments. Thanks, Brian. I have to watch the replay. Keep up the great work. Keeping an eye on the currently closed Turtle Cay Resort. I agree. It's not the only one. There's a lot of them on the Gulf Coast of Florida that half of them are struggling to rebuild. I follow a number of them on Facebook. There were a couple of them that have been moving forward with rebuilding, and there's other ones where it's just not cost effective. At the end of the day, just to sink millions of dollars into something that was completely renovated that wouldn't likely be worth millions of dollars, even if it didn't get destroyed by a hurricane, it's people that make those decisions, the directors that are hired to that. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter what decision they make; it's going to piss off somebody. You probably have a percentage of owners who want it to reopen at any cost, and you have a percentage of owners who want it to close and they don't want anything to do with it, and they want their proceeds of the sale. And then you have another percentage of owners in the model who just want it to be over. So it is very frustrating. And when you have decisions like that are life changing, that you're dealing with the dealing with so many owners who who are vested in what's going to happen with that, they're not all going to be on the same page. So, I truly hope that the outcome that you're looking for at Turtle Cay, if it's to reopen, that they're able to do that. But in many cases, that's just not good financial sense when it comes down, especially when you factor in how much construction costs these days, how long it takes to deal with permitting and lining up a contractor to do all that sort of work. I mean, to rebuild a resort or fix something like that, could take, it's certainly measured in months, if not years. And just many people just aren't willing to and don't see the sense in putting that much money into something, even though it was probably a wonderful resort. And I'm not saying this is the case with yours, but it's a bottom line. It all comes down to how much money is it worth? Is that resort worth to put into it to bring it back to the way it was? So especially with the smaller resorts and then the coastal resorts and the increased costs and insurance, which will be staggering, even if they chose to rebuild some of those resorts on the Gulf Coast, the cost to insure that will likely triple, if not quadruple, to just absurd amounts. And we've seen that for resorts that weren't impacted by hurricanes. So all of these different monetary factors and pressures play on these directors' decisions on how they move forward. But at the end of the day, the only thing I can suggest is people always be proactive in reading the information that comes from your homeowners association. They should be posting minutes on their website. In many cases, especially in the state of Florida, it's required by law. And if you're not getting that sort of information, put an official request in. Send an official letter to your homeowners association and request these information and these documents. And in most states, again, Florida is a great example. The homeowners association is not only required to provide an answer to that and provide those public documents to you as an owner, but they can be penalized for not providing that in a timely fashion. Like Florida, it's something like $50 a day if they don't respond within or give it to you within a certain amount of time. They get a per day penalty for the time at which they don't provide that in an orderly fashion. So, if you're not getting the answer you want on the phone, if you're not getting the answer you want through email, send an official letter. Go research your homeowners association covenants in your state, covenants, statutes in your state, and determine, what the process is for filing an official records request with your homeowners association to get those answers. And when you send stuff like that, and just rest assured that you're not the only one asking those questions, but when you do submit an official records request, they are obligated to respond in a timely fashion. Otherwise, there's a monetary penalty involved. So, Diana Musa, thanks for the chat. I'll set my alarm for next Tuesdays, and thank you so much. I will to promise. Well, I don't want to promise, because if I promise, the Murphy is just going to come slap me upside the forehead. But no, that is my goal. 9 p.m. Tuesday nights for the Timeshare Tuesday recap. It should not be an issue. It's a good time for me, and even if my kids aren't asleep, maybe they'll come join me. Even though I'm over here in the corner now, and so I can to share all this stuff, go through. It's much more convenient for you to see what I'm seeing as we scroll through and chat about all that stuff, so you can follow along. But all of these links for all these topics are posted in the description. They're also available in the Tug newsletter. You can sign up for that. It's free. We send it out every week, and the 4 hottest topics go in the newsletter each week, and those are the ones we discuss on Timeshare Recap Tuesday. So if there aren't any other questions, thank you so much for all the comments. Thank you all so much for everyone who's come and joined and looked at not so much my face this time and more the screen over there. I definitely like this format a whole lot better because it allows me to show you what I'm chatting about versus just you listening to me ramble on. So with that, I bid you all a wonderful evening, and thanks for tuning in. And I hope to catch you guys next Tuesday for Timeshare. What do we call it? Timeshare Recap. I'll have to come up with a better name because it's just not. I have to get Tuesday out of it since we haven't done that. But thank you so much for timing in, and you guys have a wonderful evening.